computer.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the F&O meeting for the Board of Ed. I guess we'll start off with just audience for staff and citizens. I think everybody's here in somewhat of an official manner, except Alan, did you have any requests or questions for us? All right, I'm going to take that as a no. So we'll get into the presentation and then we'll share details and try to catch John up if he does able to get called in here. And then with that, we'll go through the presentation from Greenleaf.
Yes, sir. Hello, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. I just wanted to make sure, you always get technical difficulties right when it matters. Well, good evening. I don't know if I'm in late or where. Let me know if I should start or.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. My name is Felipe Siebrecht. I'm with Greenleaf Energy Solutions. Just to give you a quick background on our company and our team, Greenleaf Energy Solutions has been working in Connecticut for over 22 years in the renewable energy and energy efficiency space. We help companies and municipalities throughout those years really take advantage of the incentives that are available to you through the local utility companies, and do some great work with those because it is your incentive and your money. Every month you pay your electrical bill. I'm sure you are aware that a portion of that bill goes into this incentive fund that is managed by the state. It's quite large. And this money is then used and given back to you to help municipalities and school districts able to go ahead on energy efficiency projects. And this helps schools be more green and help upgrade their antiquated systems. And it also helps the utility companies as well not have to build power plants and help reduce the load on the grid. So once again, Greenleaf, based out of Oxford, Connecticut, we've been doing this for 22 years. And it helped an array of different school districts and municipalities. We are a certified contractor able to do this work through the utilities, both UI and Eversource, and are also on the state bid list and contractor list as we've done work with large universities and government organizations like the Coast Guard. So today what we're here to talk about is, I know I got in contact with Samantha and her team a while back ago, and the school was looking to do some HVAC upgrades as there's some units that were a little antiquated and might be causing the staff and even the students, some headaches and comfortability issues, as well as some major savings. So we took some high-level data that was given to us that was compiled by the team over there, which thank you so much for doing that. And then we went out with a partner of ours to take a look at what's going on and actually go and visit the school. And what we did is after that, we put together what's called a letter of intent to move forward with what's then a construction grade energy assessment. So before I get into that and pull up that document, and of course I'll share that with the team over there, it really just goes ahead and allows us to do the heavy lifting of engineering and calculating all the data, calculating item codes and run hours, submitting to the utility company, gathering different pricing from different contractors to do the work, different material suppliers to get you the best price, and kind of that whole administrative burden, and then give you what's called in the industry a construction grade proposal that you can go ahead and put boots on the ground and go ahead. Does that make sense? And does anyone have any questions on our team and who we are and how we fit in there? Sorry for rambling.
So Greenleaf is kind of basically coordinating with multiple other companies to go kind of put this project together and figure out what it's going to cost from that perspective, and then you'll help on the incentive end as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Mark. And it's a great question. So yeah, we're what we like to call master project managers, not only helping design it, because we go ahead and design, take all the energy calculations, because we have to submit that to the utility to get an incentive, and then go ahead and submit that to utility, get incentives, and also, like you said, yes, material pricing, some contractor pricing to go and put it into a package and kind of get the administrative burden of dealing with all that paperwork, gathering all that information, and put into a clean package for the school and your team to go ahead and actually execute on. And then we actually project manage the entire process and warranty the entire installation as well afterwards.
Thank you.
Yep. If there's no other questions, I will pull up the.
What happened?
I think he kicked himself out accidentally. He was probably trying to multitask and clicked the red button instead of the green button.
I think he wants to go over the numbers. That's the next part.
Yeah, he was trying to share his screen, and I think he probably just hit the wrong button.
He'll be back.
He will be back.
Maybe.
I'm going to check my email and see if he sent any. Ah, there he is. Okay.
I am so sorry. My computer decided to crash on me. I apologize. I know, and I was trying to rush on. So embarrassing. Let me try to share the document that I was going to through my phone, if you can give me 2 seconds.
And is it a document that I have that I could share for you if it's too difficult?
Yeah, if you don't mind, maybe I can just send it to you.
Yeah.
And perfect. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. I can't believe this just happened like that.
Like you said, when you
Like
wanted to work
anytime you try
remote.
to print a document, you hit print and all of a sudden the computer jam, the printer jams. So
I couldn't.
that's just Murphy's Law.
It's exactly Murphy's Law. Oh gosh. Let me try to be respectful of everyone's time and do this as quickly as possible. I think I can. No, it's not going to let me. Of course, it's always harder on your phone. Oh, I think I can do it. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to log off this and log on my computer again. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
All right. Well, he's doing that. Did anybody have any updates for Mary Ellen for the minutes? They look fine to me. Nope.
Well, there you go. You got the next agenda item completed then.
All right. Hearing no comments on the minutes, I'm gonna say the minutes were good.
Samantha, I just sent you an email. At the very end of it is the document that Philip had given us, which I think he's referring to now, which is called
The letter of intent you're talking about.
yeah, I think that's what he's looking for.
He just, I'm not sure if you heard him well, because I think his internet wasn't great, but he was trying to reconnect from his computer instead of his phone. So that's why he hopped off and then he'll hop back on. But you're right, I do have the letter of intent.
That was the 3-page thing.
Mhm.
The 3-page thing, Appendix A is what I'm looking at. I
Right.
think that's what he's trying to go to, but it's the numbers.
Thank you so much for understanding and your patience. Let me, am I able to share my screen?
Yeah, you should be all set.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So sorry, as it's late at night. So this is our investment grade audit agreement. And I will send this to the group, and please, and any other time, we're happy to discuss this with any other team members at your own discretion as well. I won't go through every word of this to be respectful of everyone's time. The main points of this is the high level budget numbers that we put that are going to be at the end of this, and then just the key points for the what was called really a letter of intent or an agreement to go do the study. Here you'll read that by signing this agreement, we are Greenleaf going to go out and do all the quote unquote heavy lifting. Go out with engineers and our teams to collect all the data necessary to, one, give you guys the economics for the project, not only project cost and savings, but as well as the incentives. So we're going to go ahead and collect all data and start working with the utilities to put a turnkey project in your hands. A big point of this, and something that that should be taken away from this, is one of the most important things that we ask is, once we go ahead and pull all those engineering fees and go ahead and work with the utilities to get all the incentives data, we do have a development fee not to exceed $5,000, and that's only if the team decides not to move forward with the project. And that's to help cover us for all of the work that we're going to entail, collecting all the data and working with the utilities as they expect certain things of us for engineering studies, savings calculations, etc. And then also it has here, which once again, please read through, and if you have any questions, is just not to share all of our data while we're collecting it with everyone, and we hope that you keep it between us. And it's showing like that. Oh.
Felipe, just to let you know, we actually, Mary Ellen and Dr. Sarli shared this document with us. So if you are having problems on that page 2 and 3, I think most of us have it. And then like page 3 is like the Appendix A.
Yes, correct. I am having
and then it goes through 7 through 11. Look like it's on page 2. So
correct.
So anyway, just to let you know, don't sweat it too much if you're, for some reason, screen isn't showing page 2 and 3.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you can see I am sweating because I can't believe the technical.
Oh, yeah. This is a very nice group. You don't have to worry. We're not going to yell at you.
Like I said, we did bring some engineers to get to get some high level numbers, and we also work directly with Eversource. So we'll go out and actually tell them, hey, this is what we're looking at. What are rough estimates? We've done many projects, so we know roughly what incentives look like, and that's how we give you these numbers. Once again, they're not construction grade, but we want to show you what a project would look like before you would sign this agreement and allow us to go do all the engineering and get you once again that construction grade proposal.
Can I ask, you had a figure for the heat pumps, in this letter. And I'm just wondering, was that to completely eliminate oil, or was that just to put mini splits in each of the classrooms?
No, that was to eliminate oil. And then another one for that was to it was a conservative number on the incentives, because as recent of just a couple months ago, the incentives to do that have risen. I don't know the exact figure off the top of my head. Incentives change on a weekly, monthly basis with the utilities. So just want to let you know that as well, that when we go to expect the incentives number to go up.
Okay, Felipe, David Hallback, a
Hello,
question.
David.
How you doing?
I'm well, sir. Thank you.
To understand, this quote is for a standalone system, separate from anything else you already have, a new system to heat the building and supply air conditioning. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
And it's gonna, what's gonna be the fuel source? It's gonna be solar, right? Electric.
Electric.
and solar.
We are not proposing putting solar in, but it's going to be electric. To help
be
with
electric.
electrification. Yes, sir. Yeah, we're not proposing any solar on this. Happy to do
Part
so.
of the work,
If-
part of the work
Okay.
you would do is to be able to tell us what our energy needs will be to run the system. And then we can work with what we know we draw in from a solar system to see whether we exceed that, or we'll need to,
We're looking for the
we have
incentive.
enough, or we have to, Mary Ellen's been looking into like sharing other sources within the town of solar to be able to kind of still offset our costs. So,
Yeah, we'll be able to navigate those waters and share that info with you and get you that data as well. I'm so sorry too. I'm not I'm not an engineer. We do have engineers on staff. I wish they could talk a little more eloquently into all this. I'm happy to have him on, or if you guys have another meeting, happy to have him on as well. But that is correct. Yes.
So this quote is to install a system, entire heat and air conditioning for the building, and the energy source or the power source would be electric,
Yes, sir.
just to sum it up.
Yes. Very, very simplified. Yes, sir.
Did I miss anything? No?
He froze.
Yeah, I
There-
know. So is that sums it up? That I didn't miss anything, right?
No, sir. Am I unfrozen? I'm so sorry that I'm frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. You came back. Now you're gone
Felipe,
again.
can I just ask, this estimate that you have for the 720K, how much of a ballpark do you feel that's accurate to? Are we talking like, I mean, when we get into the nitty details and get into a little bit more reality, when you get the engineers involved, are you guys usually pretty close on this number, or is it historically change a good amount when we get into the final draft, I'll say?
No, that's a great question. Because we've been doing this for quite some time, like I said, 22 years working with a lot of municipalities, we see this number as 85% accurate, give or take a little bit, mostly on the conservative end. And the big reason for that is really, one, we're going to get a couple of quotes for the labor. So depending on, what quotes we get and what they come in as, and obviously we're going to share those with you. So, we're just transparent through the whole process. And then also the incentives. But like I said, we were very conservative with the incentives, and we provide Eversource all the info needed, and hope to maximize the incentives as possible. And like I said, the utility has just raised incentives for electrification. They're really trying to get schools and municipalities throughout the state to get rid of oil. So they're really hiking up the incentives for this.
Okay, Felipe, it says payback 8 years estimate. How did you arrive at that calculation?
So we said that taking the total project cost minus the incentives, and what we see for savings roughly on projects like this, what we would see the payback being. The savings, unfortunately, is hard to boil down until we actually do the engineering, and we'll share those savings exactly with you and show you all the math in there. But we like to just take the work that we've done in previous schools similar to this, and doing the same scope of work and roughly what their paybacks have been doing. Once again, it's very conservative, and we're really trying to underestimate everything here. So when you get
Yep.
the actual savings and the utilities incentives, we're having a good conversation and not hey, why do we go backwards?
Okay, you say you've done previous schools. Is there any way we could get a reference from some jobs that you've already completed?
Yes, absolutely. We've done work across the state and very much happy to share references with you. Some of the projects that we've done, like this most recent, the school board of Newtown. We've done work with the school board of Hartford, Litchfield, but I will share references and contact information for similar jobs that we've done. Yes, sir.
Great. So the next step would be that we, as a board, will obviously talk more about our options and stuff like that. But the next step for you would, in working with your company, would be that if we go this route, we would basically communicate with you and then start down the path of doing the construction grade estimate, with the knowledge that that comes with a cost of $5,000 at the end of it, in order to, have you do all your hard work and come back to us with all the numbers and, for the cost, as well as this estimated savings and energy use. And I also was wondering, our selectman asked a good question the other night, whether we've been asking about what the maintenance costs over the time would be for these systems. So that would be something we'd want to know information about as well.
Yeah, of course. The maintenance costs, absolutely, we can get for you. And once we get more information on everything, we also have maintenance and operating warranties that we could run. They're quite inexpensive, that we come out and maintain the system for you for X amount of years as well. Of course, the material and the labor come with standard warranties that will, of course, supply by and appear by. But if you want to, push those longer, they're very inexpensive maintenance. And yes, to answer your question, if you would decide to move forward, which I hope you will, it was just to execute this letter of agreement, and we would go ahead and start working. We would coordinate with you and your team to get in the building and start pulling some data. Once again, procure material pricing and labor pricing for you, work with the utilities, and get you and your team that construction grade proposal package that you can see everything, and of course get some my engineering team in here to answer some technical questions that are much smarter than me. And we will only charge that engineering fee if you decide, once again, not to move forward with the project. We will not charge you if everything looks good and we decide to move forward.
Appreciate that.
Felipe, your Greenleaf does not actually do the work, I'm understanding, and that you contract out with other companies. Is that true?
Yeah, to do the actual installation, we have history with a lot of local contractors that actually would install the material. Greenleaf would project manage the entire project, would take on the utility incentive paperwork and make sure everything administratively packaged together for you. And then also we would, if the town, which is not in here, but once again, when we get to the construction grade proposal, we could offer various different mechanisms of financing or payment terms for the project, and we would handle all that for the school and your team, if you, whatever route you decide to move forward with.
Thank you.
Yes, yes,
Can
ma'am.
can I ask a question, which may be a silly question?
No silly
Does-
questions.
Is this also part of our filtration system? You know, like we have the HEPA filters for the building and you can just say yes or no without going into, because it's not like I know a lot about that system, but I am curious, is that part of what you're looking at, or would we maintain what we have for our air filtration system?
That's a great question. And this system does incorporate your air filtration system and your MERV rating, they call it, and make sure it's to code.
Thanks.
All right. I guess. Mary Ellen, did you have any other questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. David, are you good?
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Well, Felipe, thank you so much for talking to us tonight and going through the information package. And obviously, like I said, we need to talk as a group here, and and before we move ahead, we might even need to talk at the full board level and make sure that everybody's on board. But no, I think this is all very reasonable and good. It seems like a good plan to have a successful project planned out and then implemented if we go that route. So,
Well, thank you so much for the time and the great questions. Like I said, Greenleaf, very happy working in Connecticut for over all those years. So we love doing this type of work and happy to provide references. And please let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll make sure to hop on any other meetings, and I promise to be more prepared and hopefully a better computer. And then I'll make sure to have, if any team members have more technical questions, to have my engineer on staff to answer any of those more nitty-gritty questions.
Thank you so much.
right.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night, everybody.
You
Yeah,
too.
you too.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right. So just we've already talked a minute, so going to item 5, so it's just basically we might as well just continue the discussion of the mini split systems. So Greenleaf is our third represented groups. It seems like we're all in the upper hundreds of thousands of dollars for all 3 companies. I am a little bit, if this company requires to go do this constructive grade estimate to give us a real number, which probably would be around the $720,000 range, to give him credit for being somewhat accurate, or maybe that's a go big or go home number. But I'm just wondering, because the other 2 companies didn't. They've already, it almost seems like they've given us the constructive grade estimate for the other 2 options. Am I reading that wrong, or am I understanding that wrong?
No,
Like
I
Charlie
think you're
is
right.
saying, yeah,
And
it seems like I'm right.
while you were doing that, I looked up some old emails, and Consulting Engineering Services back in June of 2022 gave us the same, proposal that they would do all the engineering and figure it all out
Right.
for a cost. And then it was after that that our Eversource representative told me about, well, he was not supposed to share any companies, but told me that these other companies do that as part of their proposal. So that's how we went to AirTemp and ECS. I think we're already a step ahead of this company in that we've got some proposals. So Yeah,
The other thing, my thing is, the other thing I'm a little skeptical about payback 8 years estimate.
Yeah, the
That's a
simple
lot of
math
money.
of
We're
like
gonna pay it back in
$50,000
8
per
years.
year for oil multiplied by, that'd have to be a lot more than that to get to 700,000.
Yeah,
14
but the
years. My
incentives,
quick math is
no,
right.
you got to figure out $3,000 per ton for incentives too.
it says
So
incentives
you-
23,000 estimate.
Yeah, that
Okay.
seems
Whole
extremely
project.
small. I thought it was going to be up in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah,
Incentive
Yeah.
money.
it just sent up the red flag a little more. I don't know.
Yeah. What was the
But-
third company, Mary Ellen? I'm sorry, I should know this by now, but my tired brain isn't working.
ECS Engineering Consulting Services and Air Temp. And
Air Temp.
I think I put it in an email, but the Green Energy Committee invited in Earthlight to look at putting solar in town. And the person who came, Stefan Hartman, he's really excellent on figuring this kind of stuff out. Earthlight does not do heat pumps, but in order to put enough solar in town to cover our costs of increased electricity or to offset our electric bill, he would need to know how much solar we need. So he offered to take our data. And I was going to ask you guys how comfortable you are with taking maybe the number of heat pumps and that type of thing, and sharing that with Stefan, not necessarily sending the whole proposal, because I don't know if there's limitations on that by the companies, so that he can look at the electric use that we would need at, well, I've already sent him, and I sent all of you guys like 210 bills, electric bills of all the places in the town that we pay electricity for. So he's got our usage data, but he would take and figure out a good guess at how much more electricity we would need, so that he could base the solar installation either at town hall or town garage, because you have to oversize the systems there in order to pay our bills.
Right.
So in essence, he would be doing something that Greenleaf said they would do. And he's really good at this. He ran our Solarize campaign in town when he used to work for Ross Solar. And he's a good estimator. So are people comfortable with me with sharing more about like how many heat pumps we're talking? And
I guess I'd like to, I'm not opposed to it, but I want to just summarize the three companies and make sure I remember things correctly. For
Okay.
the ESC that presented last month, their proposal was a full system replacing oil entirely. And the heat pumps per room as required for heating and cooling. Right? They were a full system replacement.
correct.
And they
Now-
were almost $1 million, Mark.
Right.
They also were going to change our air filtration and ventilation system, upgrade it or change it or whatever. I mean, HVAC includes heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So it was the whole ball of wax.
Yep. And then Air Temp. Wasn't Air Temp the company that really only had, well, they came back to us with a better, more realistic number, but when they first showed it to us, wasn't that the company that just did heating for the rooms? Well, no, actually, I take that back. They had originally just looked at cooling for the classrooms, but
Air
not
conditioner. Yeah.
completely replacement of oil.
Correct.
And then we asked them to go resize or get the units that would also do heating. and that's the number they gave us, but did we ever, Air Temp themselves never gave us what the numbers would be to completely get rid of oil, right? Am I wrong there? Or?
I thought they did revise one. I can look as we're talking at my,
Okay, I thought their
like
revised
document.
numbers was to give us heat pumps per room that would be heating and cooling, but not necessarily to completely get rid of oil, but we should confirm that. And I think
Because-
they were like quite a lot less, so weren't they like 300,000?
They were a lot less, but it didn't include, like, say, the big areas like the auditorium, the gymnasium,
Right,
the way I recall. So you're still gonna have to have oil in some areas in the
Right.
building. They were just
And I
gonna
don't-
do
these other
local,
companies, I think, are proposing, Dave, to go get rid of our furnace altogether and put in a heat pump unit in place of the furnace. And
Well,
I
this
don't
guy
think Air
was,
Temp was doing
I mean, I
that,
made it
but
pretty
could be
clear the way I
wrong.
asked them. The full standalone to replace what we have now.
Right, which
He
I
said
think, again,
yes, so.
that's, if I read, or if I heard Greenleaf correctly tonight, they would be also an oil replacement, get rid of the entire heating system that we have,
Yes.
and then put in a heat pump for the furnace and whatever classroom mini splits. That's what I heard from Felipe tonight, but maybe, again, does anybody have a different understanding than that? And I'm glad you asked that question, David, because I think that's what he answered with.
Excuse me,
Margaret?
Mark, does the boiler heat our water also? And are these systems going to heat our water for us?
Yes, we would need to basically, that's the heat pump that would replace the furnace. And then I think the heat pumps all in the separate rooms and separate areas that are like the inside outside units. Those would provide the heating for the classrooms. I think in place of like basically the baseboard heat we have now. And then you're right, the hot water would come from, you can buy those for your houses, I know too, hot water heat pump.
In the chat, Mark, I just put air temps. They did, I might have mistaken what the ECS was. Air temp gave us a full quote of $980,000 to do the whole project. I might have mixed that up. I can't find ECS fast enough right now.
That's okay.
Oh, I just closed DCS. I'll go back.
Sorry, Mary Ellen.
That's okay. I think they were in the 800,000, was close enough.
Okay, so I
Let's
think
see.
all three companies then probably, it sounds like all three companies are at the point where these systems would be a complete oil replacement system.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
so ECS 892,500.
So basically 900,000.
Yeah.
Did either one of
Those
the
are
other
all
two,
marked-
Mary Ellen, either one of the other two give us an estimated years payback? Like this company,
No.
Greenleaf says 8 years.
Yeah, and the reason why, David, is that in 2023, the rollout of the incentives is supposed to happen.
Okay,
And I've been following up on that. And I signed up for that CCM workshop, but it is put out by a New York company, not a Connecticut company. And from what I understand, DEEP is supposed to administer the federal money. And they have not put out how they're going to do it. And all the task force are asking for that. They're asking DEEP to come up with, what the incentives are, how it's going to be translated, because those are both federal programs. There's a lot of money out there, but we don't know how to access it yet. So we're still waiting. And that's why, I think his name was Joe, said, this is the budget. You're going to get 3,000 per ton, which I think was $315 or so thousand off of that nearly 900,000. But then the rest of the money, it comes off after that when we know the details. So, and then Rose and Kate, my sister Kate, who's the chair of the Green Energy, and I are meeting with Martin Pydek, who is the Eversource rep for Hampton. And we're going to ask him what the Eversource incentives are, because everyone keeps talking about these 3 measures, but we don't know how they work. So we're going to find out what Eversource knows now. And then we kind of just have to wait to find out what the real bill will be until the way that we access incentive money comes out. And that's the federal money. We'll be able to figure out the Eversource money. And then the other thing we need to know is how much savings we would get by putting in solar in town, which would offset our electric bill. So if we're running it on electricity, we won't have an oil bill. We need to know what the electric bill, how far we can get that down.
Mhm.
We do know something in that the electric bill is going to be cash, which means we could apply it to any part of the bill. It won't just be kilowatt hours. It can be the delivery charge or any of that. And it's the retail value of the generation, not the wholesale, which is new because they used to give you wholesale price. So we do know that. So if we can oversize our solar for the town buildings other than us, then the school would be getting the money.
Well,
Right.
we have 3 preliminary quotes and we're in a holding pattern, I guess, right? Till we find out more about the incentives. Right?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, the only
I
thing,
think so.
Do we need more quotes is my question.
I don't think so, but do we need different quotes is my question. Like, so we've
So-
gone down the path of wanting to completely eliminate oil, which I agree with, but it's also made this astronomically high from an expense standpoint. And when we started down this path, like a year or 2 ago, we started down the path of just, hey, why don't we put mini splits in each of the classrooms for cooling? And then we said, well, why don't we put it in so it's heating and cooling so that we can offset some oil costs? And then we've kind of gotten to the full hit and caboodle of just they eliminate oil altogether. And I guess I'm just questioning if it's going to make it economically impossible to do. Do we want to think about scaling back to something we had thought about before? And this is not. That's my quandary. I don't have the right answer. I just I know we've taken a path, and if it's not going to work out, does that mean we just completely, cancel the idea of doing the mini splits or not?
Well, we had a quote from the company up in Stafford Springs, Stafford Mechanical. It was 2 different projects. One was part of it. The job cost was about $68,000 for 1 set of rooms, and the second set was, I'm looking at it right now. They don't give me a total, another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000. That wouldn't change any of the ventilation
Right.
in the school, or I don't know if it would get us off oil or not. Though I remember asking him about it. David met him. That was our first group, David.
Yeah.
Yeah, we asked him something about, well, can we get Eversource incentive? And he said, well, then it has to be a union job, and no, these won't be your prices. So I think it was like out of the pocket. The other thing that we have to remember is that there should be 0% interest on anything we do. So as we pay it out over time, the price doesn't go up.
So I think to that
I was
point,
just looking to see if I had the email quick, but I can't find it.
because
All right.
Air Temp gave us for just the mini split project. That was their proposal, if you remember, at the 119,000. It was
Right,
just
that was the initial one they came, and then we asked them to do the full system, and that was the 980.
right.
Yeah, and that, Samantha, was just the rooms that Frank identified. It didn't cover all the rooms.
It would not take us completely off oil, but it would save us a substantial amount of cost for oil because we'd be heating the areas that were being used the most for classrooms and teachers. That was the intent. And it is cheaper. I don't know, guys. It's a lot cheaper, but I don't know whether that's the way to go. I mean,
I think, Dr. Sarli brought it up too, and, me playing devil's advocate against myself here, but, the way our heating system works, I guess it's a gamble to say how much oil it will save because, depending on the thermostats and everything else, if the heat is going to maintain, like if it has to maintain in the gym, and that means the circulating pumps are going to be on anyway, I mean, it would be a
That's it.
shame to spend $160,000 on all these mini splits just to get more or less cooling out of them and not save a lot on oil. Like if we went ahead with that project and it wasn't beneficial and didn't reduce our oil, that's a gamble. I would think there's some risks that it won't.
and that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's an older system. You've had New England Mechanical in there a lot, trying to maintain and keep it running. It's 30 years old. You're gonna be balancing that.
That's
If
a good
we
point,
add the
yeah.
mini splits, we're still gonna have that maintenance of the old system.
Right, and if the old system
cost is
fails
not
and we
gonna
gotta
go away.
replace a furnace, that's probably almost $100,000 to go replace that industrial furnace. To just continue burning oil. All right.
So I think we should
think we
just
continue going
for
down.
the
One thing actually, Mary
incentives.
Ellen, why wouldn't Greenleaf have the 300, the $3,000 per ton? Why wouldn't that factor into their quote too?
I don't know. When they came out, they only sent one guy. He didn't go up in the attic. He didn't look at the panels. He was like, David was there for the other two companies. There were like 5 guys. They all did different specialties. They spread out all over the school. We never knew where they were. They were climbing all over everything. And then they came back together and sent us a quote. So I don't think they've done as much work. And maybe that's why they don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's everybody else has done this construction grade estimate to give us their proposal, and it seems like Greenleaf is just saying, hey, we'll do that if you want for $5,000, but it's going to be approximately this much. So, all right. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see any clear path on this now, but at any of those estimates, I don't think. I don't know. It's just still a town building, and no matter what, probably is going to be required to be heating. So there's some benefit to do this, but I think if we could get a better figure on the incentives, that I think would help. But does anybody want to give Greenleaf the green light right now to do this construction? I keep forgetting the term, construction grade estimate. Anybody want to sign the paper and let them go, or are we going to hold off on that for right now?
I would say hold off and continue to do the research on the cost savings with the energy end of it,
Yep.
Eversource, and Hey,
Got it.
the only reason
Yep.
we got this far is the oil prices were getting out of sight and we were looking for alternate ways to heat the building efficiently. It's
Yep.
not like, where the furnace doesn't work. I mean, yeah, it's
Right,
probably a little shaky right now, but
yeah,
so we got time to
okay,
do more research, I guess.
yep. And Mary Ellen, I'm okay with you using, either the ESC or air temp, the number of heat pumps that they were quoting us to move forward with the solar usage estimate.
Okay. And
Thank you for
I'll,
doing that.
I think we should tell the two companies that, we're still considering them. We're just waiting to find out more about financing and incentives, just
Yeah.
so that they know we haven't,
Yeah, just keep on
you know,
tap.
quit on this.
Yep.
Yeah. And let them know that as soon as they know, they should contact
Right.
us.
Yep.
I have a feeling that once things are announced, anybody who's ready for a project, should jump on. I don't think the federal money will run out, but who knows?
Yeah.
Timing might be, for the companies, they might get really busy too. So, it's good that we just keep doing the preliminary work.
Yep. All right. All right. That's all I had for the mini split discussion then. Moving on, PA system, Dr. Sarli, you have any updates for that?
So unfortunately, I don't. They were expecting the product to arrive this week. I reached out to them today because I haven't heard from them today. And so hopefully by the end of the week, I'll have a better sense of where we are. But they were hoping that this was the week that it would get delivered, but I haven't heard anything. So hopefully in the next week, it'll be there so that they can come on out.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like they keep thinking that it's gonna, I think that was the same, they thought the same thing right before the holiday too. So hopefully this will come together to this week. So thank you for continued effort on that.
Yes, absolutely.
And then 5-year plans, Mary Ellen, you had sent out some email information that we were able to, it sounds like we made some good progress getting somebody to take a look at it and think about, give us a price for repairing it and / replacing the glass.
Yeah, he didn't respond in the past, but I called the company again, Florian, and instead of Florian calling back, Jim called. He's the guy from Pomfret. He said it'd be $16,311. He did not include the side panels because he said typically they do not fail, the vertical ones to the right,
Oh, right.
looking at the school. And we'd have to give him $5,855 at the time of the order. He said they were looking at late spring at this point. I think, summer would be appropriate if we did it. And they could reglaze the stained glass. He did ask if anyone knows if the fan works, so someone needs to go in and check out that, whether we're going to keep the fan at the top or replace it with glass, and if it works already or not. So I don't know if we have $16,000.
I don't know. I think we have to let I think we got to get through this PA system, get that installed and know the final numbers there, because that'll tell us how much we had to cut into our capital non-recurring. And then from there, we'd be able to figure out if we have some money there and or if we're going to have anything left at the end of the year. Like, I don't think we'd be able to do this until we have some of that information, but it's good to finally have gotten, I appreciate your legwork on that and getting some traction with them to finally get a number, because that's what we've been trying to get from them for quite a long time. So we at least know about what it's going to be.
Right. I'll just write back to Jim that we need to find out what we've got in the budget and to keep us in mind, but we're not ready to commit. I was wondering initially if we need to do a fundraiser for this. To put it into the money into the activity fund.
Yeah, I mean, from a usage standpoint, this doesn't really fix or change the usage of what it is now. It's just, this is more or less making it more energy efficient. Right? I mean, it's kind of, right now, people can sit out there and utilize it for its function. It's just, it's cold. So I'm just thinking, like, from a fundraiser, we can always fundraise. It's not like we can't. It's just that it's more of a, it would almost be like if we were fundraising to put it up the first time, but like now that it's up. The other thing would be, I don't know if I know we had money in the playground fund, which I'm not saying that we use that here, but I'm just saying that I don't know if people that were involved with, like, the Dupuy family and stuff like that, I don't know if they would be willing to help here, and then we can maybe use that as a kickoff for a fundraiser, to your point.
Mark,
I guess you're welcome there.
the Dupuy Fund is only for the Playscape. The last time the committee met, they wanted all the funding to go to Playscape.
Right. Yeah, I was just wondering if we could just reach out to them to say, hey, there's some repairs that need to be done on this. Would you be willing to make a donation for that?
Oh, make a donation, like a new donation?
Right.
Sally, did the money get used for the Playscape?
Yes.
Is it gone?
So
Okay.
everything that we can use is gone. Our next step is a letter writing campaign to the original donors to, because it's a permanent fund in the town, the only way we can make it a not permanent fund is to get approval from the original donors. And then we could, use the rest of it and close out the fund.
But not for that. And I hadn't intended to say that we would use the playground fund for this, but it just asking them, because they had been a part of the construction of it and putting it in. So, but that was also very generous of them. So, so maybe circling back around, Mary Ellen, maybe your point is solid, but maybe we should see what options there are for fundraising.
So Sally,
Anybody
you
wanna
have
start?
to reach out to them before you close out the fund. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because it's a permanent fund on the town's books, and the auditor has told us the only way to ever, there's a standing balance that we have to keep in there. The only way to close it out and get rid of it is to get a majority of the original, and many of them, I believe, have passed on. But at any rate, we have to do a letter writing campaign and go from there.
And who does that?
Me, I think.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll work with the auditor on that.
Thank you, Sally. All right, any other pressing issues, Dr. Sarli? For 5-year plan?
No.
Okay. Do we need to change out the contents of the second arsenic tank this year?
Sally and I had a conversation. We, I for some reason thought it was every other year, but it's not. It's every, and Sally's gonna correct me if I'm wrong. It's like every 4 years. So we're on like a 2-year cycle.
Oh, each tank is every 4 years, and we staggered them every 2 years. So every 2 years we have one tank that needs to be replaced.
I'm sorry. I still think it's every 4 years, because once it's replaced.
It'll last 8.
Sally,
Yes.
am I remembering that correctly? Yes. Okay.
Yes, our original tanks lasted 10 years before we replaced any of them. So now we're on they get replaced every 8 years. So every 4
Okay,
years.
every 4 years. Good. That's even better yet. Because I would, yeah, good. Good to know. I'm gonna write that down. Because I think at this point, over the last couple of years, we've replaced both, so.
Yes, they assured us that we are good for a
Yeah,
while.
I think,
And I apologize, I've kind of forgot about 5-year having the, maybe for next meeting, I'll try to dust off the cobwebs on what our 5-year plan has in it. I can send that out to the team so that we can maybe make some comments, and maybe for the next meeting, we can just have a discussion on what that 5-year plan. And Dr. Sarli, I'm not even sure if you've seen a latest version of that, because it does have some of the projects we've worked on over the last, probably 8 years,
Okay,
if not longer. All right. That's all I had for 5-year plan topics. Apologize, I know we're getting over an hour here, so I'll try to work through these next couple topics efficiently, but they're important, so it might take a little bit of time, but see what we can do. For 2022, 2023 budget, our current budget, anything, well, I'll start off. So I did go to the Board of Finance meeting last week. Rose and I attended, and we talked to them about getting the $10,000 needed for the oil. Unfortunately, that was a special meeting, so Kathy Donahue couldn't add an agenda item. So I'll support the February meeting as well. I'm hoping that won't be too long of a duration to be able to get them to act on that. But basically, that's kind of where we stand for that. Anything else that's worth mentioning, Dr. Sarli, for this year's budget? Anything that's keeping you up at night, except almost everything?
no, we're okay. We're okay.
All right. All right, and then so probably the bigger discussion will probably be the 2023-2024 budget. We got your files that you had emailed us. I appreciate that. Very thorough explanations and putting things together. I want to start off by just thanking you and Sally for collaborating on this and doing a lot of hard work to put this together.
Absolutely.
And then after that, I'm going to start gouging it out.
So
No.
I do, before we go into it, because Sally, I know you're on here, and we go back and forth on this, but the 10,000 was not approved in the January because they couldn't move forward on that, Mark. I'm understanding that correctly. So they're setting to move it forward in February. Right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And the for my own clarity on this, the 10,000, they had taken that out of the budget after it was approved in June of the last year or before?
We had provided a number to them, which was agreed upon by the board. They took that number and gave us $10,000 less. And so the town budget, like if you looked at the town report from last June,
Okay.
that had the 10,000 moved from our budget into that separate general fund budget for the town.
Okay, so my reasoning for asking that is it makes that what you're looking at not accurate, because we have that 10,000. How do I say this?
That's okay. I when I looked at that line here, I knew that. And I was
Okay.
actually thinking, why wouldn't we ask the town, why don't we do the same thing? Tell them $20,000. If you guys wanna, if they wanna play that game, we'll take 20,000. I mean, we could take the whole oil budget out of our budget if we want, and that would look great, and then they could just pay it all or at all, but I don't think that'll fly.
That's
But
not a
yeah,
bad-
no, you're right. So like theoretically, we could take $10,000 out of this, and that would be what we did last year.
So we had put the 10,000 back in, which is how we arrived at where we were. So we would
Right.
have to take it back out, which would increase what you're looking at. Does that make sense? I'm not being
You
clear.
put it
so.
in,
We
you
added it
saying
as
that
additional
increase-
appropriation in the oil line.
maybe,
So
can
the
I ask it
increase-
this way, the 59,469, does that include or $10,000? Or
It's
would we
the
take that and
22
put? Go
It's
ahead.
the 22-23 number that's incorrect. We have $10,000 more in the 22-23 budget
Oh,
line, assuming that they were going to approve that the other night.
So instead
You
of
put it
40,
in
you'll have
already?
50.
No, we would have 30 there.
Oh, okay.
got it.
So that means that the total percentage increase at this point would be more.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see, I have the number from last year. Well, actually, no, this is old. Oh, no, we had 40.
Sally,
And this is why it says draft, right?
So
a question for Sally. When do you guys expect to have the actuals for 22, 23 up to date? Usually
The
send
audit
that
is
out.
the audit's just about complete, so I would
Yep.
say any day now. Yeah, and
So we'll
in
have it
fact,
by,
I don't think anything there is going to change. I have put in everything that we know about, so I don't think that will change.
just for comparison, that's all,
Yep.
See where we're at. It helps with the new budget, I guess,
Mm.
But
To
how
help
would we
you
have
guys.
that, David? Because we're not through that year yet.
Yeah, I know, but we're halfway now, right?
Just about.
Yeah,
We will be.
Mhm.
so those yeah, the halfway numbers would be like in February's meetings, but yeah,
Yeah.
they're not, okay, I see what you're saying.
That's all,
Yep. All right.
So Sally, the audited actuals, is it for 21, 22 or this year?
The unaudited actuals are 21, 22.
So
And
the
they'll be-
audit that you're saying is almost complete is 21, 22.
Correct.
Okay.
That ended June 30th of 2022.
All right.
Okay, so the budget that the town voted on is $10,000 less than what's reported here. So our increase would be greater than 5.33%.
Correct.
Okay,
Until next week when they vote on it. Because
Next month.
does it become part of our
Right.
budget?
Once
Yeah.
they give us that additional appropriation, it becomes part of our budget.
And the town doesn't even get to vote on it. It's just,
Yeah, it's under
Wow.
20,000 and the Board of Finance can move $20,000, I think. And I think the town kind of did vote on it, didn't they? Because they put it into a
Well, they-
contingency fund for that purpose. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, it stated, I think the town meeting, but it wasn't the bottom line. So this was so that our MBR wouldn't raise, is that what they said?
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
sure that was their thinking. So now it will affect our MBR. Once they give it to us, it does change our MBR.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean. I looked through the numbers, I mean, I guess a couple things, like, do we have the numbers of students of like what last October's, I should have, I don't have any principal reports in front of me, but do we know from last October or this October to last October? Does that make sense? The 2022 October compared to the 2021 October, did we maintain number of students or did we lose number of students?
You'd have to
Are you
take,
asking about the town of Hampton or Hampton Elementary?
Well, the number that goes into MBR is, I think, the town of Hampton, not just the number of students in the.
It is, and so the number that comes from PSIS isn't attendance goes into that somehow, so I don't quite know how they calculate that. But if you give me 2 minutes, I will tell you just based on PSIS.
Okay,
I mean,
But
I have it up, Sally. So just based off of, you want the 22 number or
Yeah.
the 23 number?
20, both.
20. Okay, so the 22 number I have, and Sally, you can reference this while you're looking. I have as 73. No, 75. I'm sorry. It's total students, not just students in the building.
Right.
It's actually the whole town of Hampton, so that includes our high school.
Oh, then my number's wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that
But
that
keep
was
going with
that
what your number, what was your numbers for 22, 23?
For our October number,
Yeah,
71. But again, it's not all of that's just our elementary.
all right. Okay. And then,
Sally has PSIS, so she's able to.
okay. All right, well, she's looking up that, I mean,
I think we actually have an increase in students. Last year we had, oh no, that 52. Mark, I'm gonna give you wrong information doing this on the spot, so I'd much rather send you
Yep.
this
perfect.
another day.
Yep,
Thank you.
I'm good with that, Sally. Okay. It looks like, looking at, this sheet, Dr. Starley, with the number of staff and numbers of staff, it looks like we're pretty even across the board, from this year to last year. I did notice like one para was, I don't know if I want to say missing, but it seemed like we went down a para. Or wait a minute, we didn't have any regular education para. So we don't have any regular regular education pairs at this point?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's absolutely correct.
Does that mean that, because we used to have one in preschool, we don't have that anymore?
So she was moved into, so this was before me, so if I say anything incorrect, I apologize, but she was moved into special education
Okay.
coding.
Got it. So basically we'd have the same number of pairs, just maybe titled differently.
Does that mean that there may still be help within the pre-K program, but it's just labeled differently because of the special ed need there?
I would say the special ed need across the building, yes.
Okay.
And we did take a para out last year. We started this year. Now, I want to say we started with 2 less paras, one, and I don't want to say too much about it, but It was at least one, we're at least one less para this year than last year, if not two.
We're
Okay.
one. We are one.
Okay. I did notice, you know, and again, I'm not opposed to any of this stuff, don't get me wrong, but I did want to know, like the superintendent assistant role and position that we wanted to add. Obviously, for many years, we haven't had that role, so adding one, you know, people are going to want to know what the roles and responsibilities of that person is relative to the executive assistant. So I don't know if you have some ideas of what that person will be doing to, I'll say, justify the role, but you know, that'll be things that we'll want to have, you know, good solid answers on why that's needed and how it'll benefit the school.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Mark, I can briefly touch on it if you want me to talk about it now, or we can wait till next week. That's totally your call.
I'm open either way.
I know we're hitting that like hour and a
just
half
people
mark, so I
are-
don't want to like.
Yeah, why don't we, you know, if you feel like there's anything you could share via email, but I think we just have an open discussion, but I just wanted to let you know that, you know, that'll be something I'm sure people are going to want to know why, and what the benefit is to the students in school.
Absolutely.
And then I just did notice that I was kind of going through some of the lines, like, it seemed like we had a pretty large increase for the special education director.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure why we had to end up doubling that, but,
So what you'll notice on that, Mark, is in case it isn't clear, it's going from a 0.2 position to a 0.4 position. So instead of 1 day a
Got it.
week to be 2 days a week.
all right. And that was kind of based on the needs of the school and what's going on right now, and the climate of what's going on. Okay. No, that makes sense. Sorry, I did miss that. So that increased. All right, I'll star that just so I can remember it. If I can find it.
Can I ask is this a negotiation year because we doubled the legal?
Yes, it is, Mary Ellen. It's exactly right.
And I did look on that. We spent 17, the actuals from 2020 and 2021 were 17,745. So that's in the ballpark of the 20,000. Okay.
Can I ask,
Sure.
it says that our enumerator is $550, and I know that there's been questions, who does the enumeration is this separate from a town enumeration? Do we do it for the whole town? What's the position?
It is separate from the town. The town hired an enumerator on their own. We have our enumerator in our own building.
Okay, and is that just for public school children or whole town?
Whole town.
births
She
and-
has, yep, she collects the births. Yep, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Oh, no, I appreciate you putting this together. I mean, I'm gonna say that there'll probably be some, you know, nice hard questions that we'll need to answer, you know, to try to justify, like we're gonna get pushback on the 5% increases. I'm not necessarily opposed to them, but it's gonna be a question, you know, based on the number of students in the school, which people will look at right, wrong, or indifferent. You know, we went from 75 to 71. Well, that might not be the right number, but we didn't increase numbers of students. We did obviously have oil increases, and we had a lot of the other stuff didn't go up too badly, but you know, we even have like 561 and 562 ultimately went up, which was like tuition private and tuition public, which I think is the outplaced students. And what we have, that's almost out of our hands, but it's you know, 16,000 increase. So that's, you know, some things like that. I did notice some of the instructional supplies and some of the things in 600 went up. And just something to think about is like what Dr. Ola had done in the past is just to, if we get to the point where we have to challenge some of this, he had worked with Sally, and Sally knows this, but just and looked at, all right, well, these are areas that we can reduce, but it's got ramifications. And so it helped put the onus on our shoulders a little bit to say, all right, well, if we want to make cuts, we have to make the hard decisions and say this is also going to be a negative ramification to the school, and we're willing to agree to that, and then reduce our budget. But I mean, I think you probably have a good story for a lot of this stuff, and I'd say that we just need to be able to stand up for it and just say we agree and we think it's justified what we're asking for.
And I would just ask, we're gonna have to fix this. So this is going to look different next week because of that 10,000. So just so you all know.
Got it. I don't know, does anybody, I know we're getting be a long meeting here, so I don't want to I don't mean to be the only person who talks though either. I wanted to give Dave and Mary Ellen the opportunity to weigh in on, you know, any first thoughts on what the budget Dr. Sarli presented us with, and then we'll go
I
from
want to
there.
say that the comparison over the years is very helpful. The fact that we are below what we were talking about in 2010 is amazing. Also, I want to make a suggestion. I have a staff list, and this came up during the Scotland-Hampton merger. The title that Mr. Gervais has is Media Center, and he really functions, in his job description that got passed by the board is an SRBI teacher, and I suggest that we call his position reading in SRBI or SRBI in reading, because it's something that people in our town have asked for. And I think that the reason it's still Media Center is at the time, you know, some years back, we lost our Media Center person. And Mr. Gervais was hired, but then we were in COVID and we weren't really using my understanding at least is we weren't all going to the library. Anyway, I think it reflects his position in the job description we wrote for him better as SRBI or reading support or something like that. Maybe it's reading and math. I don't really know. But
I'm not,
media.
Mary Ellen, he's not listed as Media Center. I'm not sure where you're reading that. If you can just direct me to where you see that so I can make sure it doesn't say that, because on what I have,
I
wasn't
looking at the budget.
Oh, okay, okay.
No, budget. I got a document for the 2022-23 staff list when we were talking about room numbers and stuff like that. And, you know, it has the administration, the teachers, and then he's under specials, teachers specials. And yeah, that's where I'm looking it up. But I do know that people in town are very supportive of reading help. And with our whole initiative and, you know, the statewide initiative in reading and stuff, I just think it makes more sense to say that we have an SRBI reading math specialist or a support person or something like that. And it matches our job description.
All right.
Mary Ellen, our job description is SRBI Computer Ed Distance Learning Teacher.
Okay.
And so that is what our proposed staffing sheet says exactly that.
Yeah, and distance learning we're kind of worked out of at this point.
Yep.
I just think that if we refer to him as a reading math help person or, you know, support person, it just makes people feel better than a library media. But thanks, Sally, for pointing that out.
David, do you have any reflections for now, or you just gotta see
No,
how things go with the whole board?
Yeah, I kind of looked it over. I just got a chance to look at it today. I didn't get a chance to look at it too long, and kind of like to see the revised one that you're talking about, Samantha, and maybe the actuals where we're at right now. I don't know. I like to compare. But thanks for putting it all together. The budget history thing, as Mary Ellen said, is very helpful.
Yep.
I don't know. I was just curious how many kids we had in 2010, 2011 versus 22, 23 right now. It'd be kind of nice
I
to
might
see those numbers.
I might have that, David. I'll look. That was back during the Scotland Hampton thing. I did a whole bunch of website search. So I'll look to see if I have that. And I'll
Okay.
send it.
Yeah,
I know we probably have less. I understand that
Yeah,
costs have gone up on everything, and I can factor that in, but
Yep.
yeah.
And we've done quite a lot of cutting, for grade levels and stuff, so. All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
very good.
All right.
So, I don't think there's anybody on that would be staff and citizens for agenda item 10, so we're good there. The next meeting is on the books for February something.
February the 16th.
16th. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, and then except for a presentation item, things on the agenda will probably be about the same, and obviously we'll continue our discussion on mini splits with whatever progress we had in the PA system. All right, thank you for that. And then I think we're down to adjournment. So I guess we'll adjourn at 8:36. Appreciate everybody's time. Sorry for the long meeting, but I think it was a good discussion, so.